Hey everybody, and welcome back to another version of Triple Play from FSI DFS. I'm Mega Ruler 31. We're looking at a 10-game slate for Tuesday, 4/13. If you looked at it last night, maybe, or yesterday at some point, you'd see it was a 12-game slate, but due to weather in the Baltimore-Seattle game and the Mets game, they got postponed yesterday, so they're playing double headers today, so those two games fell off the slate. So we got a 10-game slate. We have lots of pitching options. We've got an expensive option for bats and a couple other possible decent stacks, some value stacks we can try to throw in there. So let's try to figure out how to put this slate together so we can make some money. So start with pitching. Highest priced pitcher is Shane Bieber. He's going up against a White Sox team. He's also going up against a good pitcher, Lucas Giolito, who's the third highest pitcher. So you got Bieber at 10-7 and Giolito at 9-8. Both are, I think, were a decent option. It's a low total for the game. I think it's a 7 total with 3-5 on each side, pretty much a pick 'em. Case for Bieber is, 22% strikeout rate for the White Sox. They don't have Anderson and Jimenez in the lineup, so they're not as powerful, even though they did get off to a hot start this year. So he did go over 100 pitches also, so the longevity's there. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these pitchers. I think if you want to stave like 9K, I think they're about even. Bieber probably will go a little bit longer than Giolito. Cleveland has a bit better bullpen also, so potentially, if you're worried about these guys only going like 7 and then the bullpen coming in and screwing up and losing you the win, then I think I would side for Bieber. But in between them is Trevor Bauer, who's probably the best play on the slate. The Dodgers are obviously a very good offense. They're playing Colorado. This is the same Colorado team that he went out and did very well in Coors Field, but this is actually at the Dodgers Stadium, so it's even better environment. And he's just doing really well. He's got a 22% K rate for the opponents there. So there's strikeouts. There's Colorado's was never a great team away from Coors, and now they lost Arenado, so it's not even the same team. And for some reason, I don't know if it was part of his new contract or how he did it, but Bauer's got a longer leash than a lot of the Dodger pitchers that we saw that would get pulled after 5 or 6. I think he had like 105 pitches one of the times he pitched. So it looks like they trust him and that he's able to go out there. So definitely at 10-2, it's a high price, and you're going to have to make a decision. Are you going to go with these one of 2 of the 3 elite pitchers up here, or we're going to look down further? As we go down further, we have James Talion. He's facing Toronto. He seems to be priced a little too high at 9.4. He does have a 90% 41% K rate. Blue Jays are 12th in K, so it's not like super high, but there are some Ks in the lineup. They're only 23 in slugging. I think eventually, once they get Springer back in that lineup and temperatures get warmer, that they're going to be able to go out and start really smashing that ball, especially when they move to the Buffalo Stadium. Even though this is a spring training stadium, it did produce a lot of runs in a couple of the games with the Angels, but not too many last night with the Yankees. And that's the other thing I'm concerned with is run support. Like, I loved the Yankees yesterday. I thought they were in a great spot against Ray, who was a lefty that they could mash, and they just didn't put up runs except for Higgy, who I played a catcher and got a nice 30 spot out of, which was beautiful. But the rest of the lineup really didn't do anything for us. So, and I think Talon is on a pretty low pitch count. So if I don't say don't play him, but I think there's much better options below him. There's another pitching duel that's going to set up with Strasburg and Flaherty. I was high on Grant yesterday, but Washington put out a decent lineup. They put up 5 runs, so that worked out okay with his pricing, but it wasn't as good as I thought it could be. But Strasburg has pitched well so far this season. St. Louis has hit, but there's definitely some potential there. So at 8-4, I like Strasburg. Flaherty on the other side, Washington, if they continue to struggle, he's a decent veteran pitcher. His walk rate is a little bit higher at about 10% than I would like, but I think either one are playable. You could look at Ryu on the other side. I think that's more of a GPP. He's been decent. He's more of a ground ball pitcher. The Yankees are only batting .240 this year, and they're only 18th in slugging. So, and Stanton's batting second, which is just kind of bizarre to put a power hitter that high up. I mean, I guess Judge was there, but the Yankees they're not putting it together yet. I think, it will come, especially when like Voit gets back in the lineup and the temperatures get warmer, but we'll see. And we'll talk about them when we get to hitting. So if you want to take a chance on Ryu to be a serviceable at 8K, that's fine. But I think, you know what, I'm going back to where we went to yesterday and found success with Peralta, with Milwaukee against Chicago Cubs, and he did really well. The Cubs have a massive strikeout rate. They're really struggling to begin this season, and Brandon Woodruff is a strikeout pitcher, and he's only 7.5. And I would have to say, I think like he is my favorite SP2 on there. So if you're not going to go with 2 of the 3 studs up top, and you want to pay down for pitching to try to get some of the Dodger bats, which are going to be pretty expensive and probably the best stack out there, then Brandon Woodruff would be one that I would consider. The furthest I would go down, Luis Castillo is interesting. He started off the season pretty rough. I think his control is back a little bit better in his second start. His first one was pretty bad. He has San Francisco. At San Francisco, it's more of a pitcher's park. They could roll out a very lefty heavy lineup against him with some decent lefty hitters, but he's definitely a strikeout pitcher that has potential. But I think if you want to go down, my favorite, I think, I don't want to say dumpster diving, but below the surface pitcher here would be Max Fried. He's got Miami. Miami can hit, but he's got a 23% K rate, and Miami's only got a 3.3 total. So I think if you're really trying to save, I think the play is definitely to go with Woodruff. But if you need just a little bit more in GPPs, I think Fried is the only safe one that's kind of down in this area to look at. Okay, so moving on to hitters. And I think definitely the first, place we're going to look is the Dodgers out against Colorado. This is not at Coors, and the pricing came down a little bit. Hopefully Betts is back in the lineup. He's been a little bit banged up, but you got some decent lefties here in Seager and Muncy. I think, Smith still can hit the righty well. Lux, he seems to drop down a little bit in the lineup. Maybe he'll move up a little bit and lead off if Betts isn't in there. And if there is an opening, Zach McKinstry has been decent also, getting multiple hits in games, and he's only 3.2 for a Dodger. That's a great price. So even if he's down towards the bottom of the lineup, if I want to get some exposure, he's somebody I'd definitely consider. So the other stacks to look at is, even though both of them burned us yesterday, I think going back to looking at Houston against Detroit and the Yankees against the Blue Jays. Yankees get a left-handed bat again, and they at some point they got to click, and like maybe a lot of people will be off them because of what happened yesterday. So if Higgy's back in the lineup, but I don't know if he will be, because I think he might just be Cole's personal catcher. So, I think we'll see Sanchez back, and I like him, especially if he's hitting like fifth or sixth up there. Stanton, Judge, Torres. Uh, Looks like Torres's price has come up a little bit. It seems like it's been a little bit too low recently. Hicks, he's still under 4K. Clint Frazier, like him too. I had to do a double take when I saw the lineup and saw that Rogner or Dora was in the Yankees lineup. I completely forgot that they signed him and that he was on the team, but I think he's just a shell of himself. He's not the stud he was back when he played for the Texas Rangers. But going back to Houston, they get Detroit and they get Matt Boyd. Boyd hasn't been too bad to start off the season, but Houston has matched lefty batters. Tuve, Bregman, Gurriel, Correa are all in the mix. Brantley, lefty, like he's hits great both sides, no matter who the pitcher is. So he's a good contact pitcher. They have a 5.26 run total there. And I think, they definitely can probably get to him. The bullpen for Detroit's not great. So definitely, even like a catcher at 3.5 from Maldonado with a righty on lefty matchup is in play. Final big stack I'd probably look at would be Cincinnati. They've cooled off a little bit. They have Gausman, who's actually started off the season decently well, but still with Winkler, Moustakis, Naquin, if he's in the lineup. Votto, I don't know. Like, no matter what the good situation is, like, I think he's on my list of never again. It seems like every time I roster him and he's in a great spot or he's part of the stack, he just doesn't hit. And he's a good baseball player, but just offensively producing this year. And I watched this today. He's got 3 home runs. So, you guys can like remind me tomorrow when we send out the video that said don't play Votto, and he had 3 home runs last night. So perhaps, but I don't think that's likely in the outcome. Okay, so if we want to try to get like the Dodgers in or the Yankees in, we want to get a 10K pitcher up there, then who are some of the value plays? So let's flop over to the other side of the game, San Francisco. I know I said Castillo is a pitcher that we could play that he's improving, but his first start was kind of rough. The Giants have some left-handed bats. They could lead off LaStella. Dickerson's only 2.8. Brandon Belt hits righties really well at 3.3. Even Brandon Crawford, I don't think is as good as he was anymore. At the same price, I'd definitely prefer Belt. So there's about, a mini stack there that you could throw in that's not too expensive at all, especially, like I said, Dickerson at like 2.8, who's a decent hitter. He might be batting third. Even like, he's 4.5, so it's kind of expensive. But if you want to go like the full stack, I want to put him in there. But even just getting like 2, 3, 4, you're paying like 3.6, 2.8, and 3.3. So definitely like that there. Detroit against Odorizzi on the other side of that game. Odorizzi, I think, just got called up or just, back on the team. I think it was it Valdez that got hurt with his finger in spring training. So they're kind of like plugging holes until they get their full rotation back. We don't know how long he's going to go, and the Houston bullpen isn't great. They have like one of the lowest K rates out there, and they're third in xFIP, so they do give up some runs and some power. So just looking at this, and the nice thing is like if the projected lineup is correct, the first 3 batters for Detroit are all switch hitters when Grossman, Castro, and Castellano. And you're talking 3-1, 4, and 3-4. And then Mazzara, who's okay, but he's 2-2. And if he's batting fifth and in a potentially okay situation, and you really need like a value bat, he'll get you like anywhere 5 to 7 points. And at 2.2, it's better than a 0. If he gets like 1 hit or so, I'll take that. Looking a little bit down further, and I wish this guy would like maybe be able to move up into the lineup. It's kind of like Buxton was back with like when he first broke out with Minnesota is like, they always like bat him like 8th or 9th, and you're thinking like this guy has potential. But Akili Badu, he's 3A, which is a little bit more expensive than some of these guys that like in the low threes, but he's a lefty on righty matchup, and if he moves up into the lineup higher, I would even take him at 7th if I'm looking for somebody. He fits last guy in if I'm around like 4K left for out of my last outfielder. So he's someone to watch also. Angels definitely could be a minor stack against Duffy, the right-handers, and they might be a little bit more of a GPP, something off of the major 3 stacks, like I said, of the Dodgers, the Yankees, or Houston. Duffy's an okay pitcher, but definitely he's definitely hittable, and you've got some great right-handed bats there that could roll out Fletcher. Seems like Ohtani's hitting anything, so he's good there if he makes the lineup, of course. But Trout, Pujols is actually doing well against left-handed. He's the ageless wonder there. Upton, even the catcher like Stassi, or if Kurt Suzuki's in, I like both of those too. Not too sure about the guys on the bottom of the order. They might throw out some 2K bottom feeders there, like Lagares or Mayfield are in the projective line at 2-1 and 2-2. I think they probably get sub 5 points. If you're looking for somebody like that cheap, like I said, I'd rather go with Mazzara over them in outfield. And finally, I think wrapping it up, looking at the Marlins. So against Max Fried, again, I said, he's a decent pitcher, but I think they can get some hits against him. You've got some real cheap players. Like I wouldn't play Marte. Like he's priced like a Dodger at 5.4, which is just incredibly high. He's doing well, but I don't think it merits that much of a price increase over the rest of the team. But Rojas leading off at 3-2, and Aguilar and Cooper and Anderson, Duvall, like you have a bunch of righties that they could throw out against Fried. So there's some more value that'd probably be third. I think I'd look at probably Detroit being the best one, and then San Francisco, and then Miami being the third for value stacks. But it definitely opens up some value, so you can potentially. So I guess the call up top is, what do you do with the pitchers? I think Bauer's definitely in play with Giolito, but I think Bieber is definitely the cash lock there. And I think if you want differentiation, that you go with the other two. Then you have to make the choice. Do you play 2 of the 3 top guys, or do you play one of them and then drop down to like Woodruff, who I think is the best option for an SP2 with a lower price range, and then figure out your stacks. How many Dodgers can you get in, and then who do you fill in for value? Or do you go back to the well with Houston and New York, who should be in decent lineups with good platoon advantages that let us down yesterday? Hopefully, like, people will remember that. Everybody flocks to the Dodgers. Maybe you can get some leverage on some low-owned bats, and if they do well tonight, then you do well also. So appreciate you listening. Check us out on fsi.com for more information. I'm MegaRuler31. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below, and we'll try to get back to you on that, or hit me up on Twitter at MegaRuler31. I do appreciate those of you who have reached out to me based on watching these videos with questions and stuff. We're here to help people, and that's why we do these free videos. So to help us continue to do them, just if you can like them, if you can recommend them, share them, join our channel here on YouTube if you haven't already, and that helps us out a lot. So appreciate you watching, and hope everybody has a good day. And it looks like a beautiful day for baseball. Not many weather concerns in the late games, so hopefully everything gets in and we all do well. So until next time, Mega Ruler out.